Today on All Things 80s, it's the Random Star Wars Figure Review, Episode 5. Welcome back to All Things 80s, and it's that time of the week for the Random Star Wars Figure Review, so without further ado, let's pick a number and review that figure. So number 55 was rather a fortunate call, given that this is one of the few figures I have both loose and carded. So starting with the figure itself, I should also address the name of this figure. I had someone correct me in a previous video where they insisted that I was saying it wrong by saying AT-AT driver, which is something I've said since the 80s. I was told you have to say AT-AT driver. So if that person is watching, I hope you enjoy this video about the AT-AT driver. Now, figure itself was unique in as much as this was the only figure to come with this rifle, which is a rather nice looking rifle. Again, as with many of these Kenner Star Wars figures, we don't actually see the AT-AT driver yielding a weapon in the movie. So this was, something that Kenner presumed he would have used. I love this rifle. It looks great, and it also sits over his shoulder very nicely. It sits nicely in place there. Now, variants were few and far between for this figure. The only sort of difference you would find would be the colour of the Imperial insignia on his helmet. Some were more red, whereas other ones appear to be more of an orange colour. Now, in terms of this figure holding up over the ages, the problem with this figure was that his torso was cast in white plastic, meaning his backside and all of the front of him here were painted. And because he sat in the AT-AT, a number of times you find this figure for sale, the paint on his butt has worn off quite badly actually. So it's quite hard to get one that's looking in good condition for a good price. Compared to the Stormtrooper and the TIE Fighter pilot, which were very similar figures, this one has got a great colour scheme going on. It just looks stunning. And obviously, for me, my favourite Imperial is a toss-up between this and the TIE Fighter pilot. I always did love this figure, despite not owning an AT-AT as a kid. It was one of my favourites, and it's certainly one that's held up well. It looks great all these decades later, and especially with the fact that you don't have to have him holding the rifle in his hand, which does fit very well, it has to be said. I like to have it just hanging on his shoulder there, which also sits nicely. Very nice. Nice detailing on the back as well, with the back of his armour. I'll take this off for a second. The back of his armour has some fantastic fine detailing there. Also the back of the helmet with the air supply, I guess that's what you would call it, but nicely done. And as you can see here, the stripe on the back of his helmet is definitely more orange when compared to the red of the Imperial insignia. So don't quote me on this, but I'm sure there will be some where those two colours match up. Who knows? So now looking at the card backs, and this is one of the few instances where I do have a mint on card figure, so we can actually look at the real card back. Now this is a great image here, nice close-up of the driver, and bizarrely, the AT-AT commander did not get his image on the card back, but luckily the driver does, and it's a great image. Now this image continued on to the Return of the Jedi line, and he was lucky enough to get released on Power of the Force, and in Europe on the tri-logo cards, and in all instances it was the same image that was used, and why not, because it is a great image. So all in all, the AT-AT driver is definitely one of my favourite Imperial figures. It's a toss-up between him and the TIE Fighter pilot, but in closing, all I'll say is if you are looking to add one of these to your collection, just be warned about the potential of paint rub on his butt. Again, simply because he was sat in a lot of AT-ATs back in the 80s and the grey paint simply wore off. However, if you're wanting him just to stand on display, I don't think it matters too much if there's paint rub on his butt. So anyway, Fantastic figure. So that was the AT-AT driver, and for me, one of the better Imperial figures. So hope you enjoyed that little review there. So thank you for watching, with special thanks to the Patreons. Please like, please subscribe, and as always, stay tuned for more videos from All Things 80s.